Hi. So I would say, just to jump right in here, I am going to be experimenting using both a matte and a gloss paint. And this is a stone that I had previously spray painted. I usually do spray paint my projects with black paint before I begin. I find that when you do that, you can erase lines, and if your base coat comes up, you can't see it, so works out pretty good. On the wood circle, I'm going to be using some sandpaper. You always want to sand your wooden products. They can splinter and it causes the paint to, bleed, and it just looks awful. So always sandpaper. I'm just doing it real lightly, and I am going to go over it again with a finer grit sandpaper. And then I am leaving that space there on the edge just so you can see what the swipes will look like if I don't sand my wooden disc here, and just see how important it is to sand. Just want to show you like pretty much all the ins and outs of how to make a good swipe. That's a personal opinion, so I'll let you guys decide, but I just want to show you what I'm going to do here. So I sanded the wood. I'm going to go and paint it directly in half with matte and half with gloss. Same with the stone. This is Cookie. I don't know if you can hear her breathing, but she is a lap dog, so I have to hold her constantly. So if you hear some breathing sounds, that's not me. That's Cookie. So, okay, I'm going to speed through this painting part here. Remember, there is a rough spot at the top there, and I'll point that out later on, but I just want you to remember that that is there. So I got half of the wood circle done and half of the stone. And then I let those dry for a minute, and then I come back with the gloss and the same process on the opposite side. Alright, so we're just going to let those dry. And I wanted to show you this little tip. If you didn't know already, I think I showed this in a tutorial some years ago, but you just, to get the plastics off of your new bottles of paint, you just twist, I think it's clockwise. It's the opposite of what your bottle opens. And then you pull up as you twist, and the little plastic things will come right off. So these are just some random colors that I pulled. DecoArt Americana acrylic paint's the best. There's that top part that's a little rough, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So I'm starting off with my nail stylus number 5. I'm just going to show you a bunch of different things here. So you really want to get a good load of paint on your tool. You don't want to be, just barely dipping the ball in there. So step 1, key factor number 1, dip that tool in the paint. Get you a good blob of paint on the end. Not to where it's dripping off necessarily, but just a good amount. Get it halfway up the little stick part. That's fine. So you want to put your paint down and put your tool right in the middle, and just ever so slowly drag it down. So that would be, I would say, key factor number 2 is your speed. Slow down, pull it really, really slowly. I'm telling you, if you have this paint and you have a good amount of paint on your tool and you do it really slowly, you're going to do just fine. So take a note on the side somewhere how long your swipe is. So that might help you to judge where you need to place it, where you need to start it in your project. So the first one I made with just the ball stylus. The second one here, I just put a drop of paint down with the ball stylus. And now I'm pulling a tail out with a needle point tool. Now this one, I have these in the Art Depot. They're perfect. You just stick your needle right in the middle of that droplet of paint and pull it down. You can really form the tail, the shape of the tail that you want. So that's another key thing that you would look for when you're trying to make good swipes that are really close to each other. This is a ball stylus number 2. It's like a medium size. So it's going to make a smaller swipe, and you just place them next to each other. I think looking at your spacing, if you imagine that you're drawing a line with like a pencil that's right next to the previous swipe, I think you're going to be just fine. They shouldn't go into each other. All right, so now we're trying it over on the matte side. And what I really just want to show is the length of the tail. I find that with the gloss paint, and you'll see this throughout this tutorial, with the gloss paint, the tail goes a little further. And with the matte, it still works. It's, you know, this is smooth, so it does still work. It doesn't make it real, you know, bumpy looking, the tail, with the right tools and the right paint. But it's not quite as long. Now I'm manipulating it here with this needle tool, and you can do that. That would be fine. But typically speaking, with just a tool on the wood, I would say the tails are going to go longer and further down if you are doing it on something that's gloss instead of matte. So this is the same 3 tools and techniques that I used over on the gloss side. So you can just see those are just slightly a little shorter. So the tail of your swipe, it's going to get smaller if you just keep pulling your tool. If you set down your tool and you start to make a swipe and you pick it up for any reason at all, then my suggestion would be to go ahead and get a smaller stylus or like a finer tool and finish that tail off if you want it to look, you know, like the tails around it. If not, it could be like a thick tail, like that one in the middle there. So see here, if you start and you stop for some reason, and you pick up your tool, go in with a smaller stylus and stick it right up in the middle of the top of the swipe, and go ahead and pull it down like that. So it's going to need a longer area. It's going to pull the tail down longer. So I would probably manipulate it with a needle tip, because then you're really going to be able to get the shape that you want. Dip it in a little bit of paint just so it has something on it, and I go up a little ways up into the swipe, and you can see how that tail tapers, and I really can control the length of the tail. Now for brushes, this is a liner brush from Thoughtful Dots. Demi sent it to me. She's so super sweet. Liner brushes are perfect for swipes. One of the keys is how you load your brush. So you don't want to just dip it in paint like that to where it's real thin. It's basically the size of the bristles, you know, as if you had stuck them in water. You don't want to do that. You want to put your brush into the paint palette and kind of, you know, just tap it, and you'll see how the bristles are real fat now. They're holding a lot of paint. That's what you want. So now you're going to just take and set your brush down, and you pretty much set it flat, and then you slowly pull it up as you pull away, and it will make a nice thin tail. Now this does require quite a bit of practice for some, and that's perfectly fine. You know, that's part of the process here. So that was, I did one swipe on the matte, and here I'm going to do one on the gloss. And again, just take your time and move very, very slowly. There's no rush. There's no need to rush. Sorry for the background noise. My new studio, we just moved. Me and my fiance and our kids. And my new studio is like all windows, which is an artist's dream, but it is a little noisier because of that. So I do apologize. So yeah, the Demi's brushes are amazing. I love them. I would definitely suggest going and getting some. This is a liner brush that I've had for years and years. It was like in a pack of 5 from like Hobby Lobby or something. It's a little shorter, so you can see it's about half the length the bristles are, and it works, you know, really well too. And it might be something that you could get maybe started with. It's the same deal. You don't want it to be just dipped in paint. You want to really scoop up a good amount and kind of tap it into the paint and let it pick up a big glob. And same deal. And so you can see here, I just wanted to show you if you just tap it in the paint versus once versus like over and over, how much fatter it gets. That's what you want. You want it to get nice and good and plump before you try your swipe. So you just, again, set it down pretty much flat and then start picking it up as you pull away, and you can curve it, however you want at the end. But that's basically the brush swipes. And then I want to show you the rough edge there. So this is where I didn't sand. So, and I'm just doing the same thing. So you can see how incredibly short it is compared to, look at the original one, way longer. It just won't be as smooth or as long as if you were doing it on a smooth surface. So, that the tails kind of feather out and bleed out a little. They just aren't smooth. I mean, you work with what you got, but I'm just saying, if you were wondering, hey, why do my swipes not look good or whatever, something to consider. That's all. And here's the gloss side, about the same length as the other one, maybe slightly longer, which seems about right. And again, though, you can see how, if you look close there, it's kind of wavy on the edges versus, a smooth straight line. So I just wanted to show you the different substrate conditions, so we can clarify, what's going on with your swipes. I think probably paint consistency is a problem for a lot of you. If your paint's too thick, it's going to run short and probably not smooth. DecoArt Americana acrylics are just extremely smooth. They're literally perfect for swipes and dotting in general. I mean, I've said it for years. They're perfect straight from the bottle. They're no fuss. You don't have to do anything to them. They just work. So I would definitely invest in some of those. They're not terribly expensive or anything, and they last forever. So, but you can see here, even with the needle tool, as I'm trying to really define it and get it like smoother looking on the edges, it actually looks worse. So yeah, so definitely I would never use an unsanded piece of wood. And now I'm moving over to the stone that I painted half in gloss and half in matte paint, just to show you the difference. So this is way smoother than wood. It's a handmade plaster stone from a mold, silicone mold, from my art shop, the .artdepot.com, where you can find everything .art, everything that you need to make .art. So I just took the larger stylus and made the first swipe down on the gloss side, and it's nice and smooth on the edges, nice long tail. Could have kept probably going, but it's perfect as it is. So next I'm going to go down a size, and I'm going to use, like, I think a size 4. That's what I call them. I call my largest 5, and then all the way down to 1. But here I just want you to focus on, if you want to practice along with me here, look at the edge of the previous swipe, and as if you were holding a pencil and drawing with a pencil, and your tool is a pencil, and you're just drawing a line right next to that line, real close. That's all you need to think about to get them really close. See how close it is, but yet not touching. The paint is going to have a big role in them not touching. If you've got a paint that's too thin, they'll probably run together. If it's too thick, they'll probably run together. Or, it won't be as long of a tail. I mean, you can play with all of that, but I just want to show you. Just focus on the edge of the previous one where you're running your tool down, and it should line up perfectly. All the way down. Yeah. So I'm just using a smaller tool for each new swipe, and then it kind of makes like a seashell looking design. I'm sure that has a proper name, but I'm going with that. And then, you know, the same on the other side. Also rotate. So like I feel more comfortable pulling the swipes down on one side, and I feel more comfortable pushing them when the tail is going inward. So play around with that, because that is going to make a difference, a huge difference actually, whether you're pulling and pushing. So, you know, maybe flip your project and try it both ways, on both sides. And then I'm just going to finish it up here with some little dots. And then I'm going to start on the other side, and I just want to show you the final product. So I'm going to go ahead and speed through that. But I'm using the same tools, the same technique, and the same paint. I just want to show you the difference between the gloss and the matte. And so right off the bat here, I just wanted to show you I'm going equally as slow and trying to drag the paint out just like I did on the other side. And the tails are just not going all the way down. They don't go as long on the matte side. So what I've had to do is take my pink needle tool and go in and elongate each one of them. So just wanted to point that out. But then as far as like the overall project, you can see, I mean, it looks good. It's not quite as clean as the other one, but not too bad. I think I like gloss better. It's just a little smoother. All right, so regular dotting tools. So you can just use a regular dotting tool and make a dot. And it's the same type of deal. You want to make sure your dot is good and loaded up. And you can do that by just redipping your tool and then just dabbing some extra paint on that dot. Now you're going to go in with a very small, maybe your smallest nail stylus that you have, and then you just want to stick it in the middle of the dot and start pulling out some paint. And you can really shape this however you want. This is just want to show you another way to do it. So you can make swipes, you know, that has a larger head, or you can go ahead and expand on the sides and make it like a longer teardrop, and pull it out, just drag it all the way out. I mean, it's however you want to do it, you know, whatever shape you like. It's all a personal preference. And then you can follow up by placing dots that are just a little smaller to either side of it. In there, I'm going to show it just a little bit lower than the first initial dot on either side. So you just want to, like I said, load it up with some paint. Just redip your tool and add a little bit more paint to the dot, and then you're going to drag those down, and you can get as close to the, you know, the largest swipe there that you want, or you can give yourself plenty of room. That's again totally up to you. And you know, with your experience level, you can practice and practice these, and you'll get better and better. And remember, you know, don't focus on perfection, just focus on practicing, because with that you're going to get better and better and better. And again, just going down a size. So this is a size 4 regular dotting tool, and we're going to do the same exact process, smallest nail stylus, and dragging it down, getting as close as I can and making that pretty design. And now we're moving on to a petal shaped dotting tool, and these are from the DecoArt Depot. And again, I will put the link in this video's description below for these tools. And you just basically, you're going to do the same type of deal as you would with a regular dotting tool. You dip it in paint, and then you stick the tip, the edge of the petal down, and then you rock the tool down and then back up, and it makes a perfect petal shape. And those are just perfect on their own, like especially if you're making a flower or anything like that. But if you do want to elongate it and make it longer and lengthen the tail, all you got to do is use a really, you know, sharp or fine little nail stylus or a pink needle tool, and pull that tail right on out and make it whatever shape you like. And I'm going to go to either side of it, same deal. And like I said, the petal shape itself is perfect just the way it is. I mean, it makes, you know, perfect little petals or hearts or anything like that. But just for the sake of keeping with the theme here of this video, we're going to draw it out just like we did on the other ones. So it's kind of a shortcut, if you will. It just gets you there a little quicker. So there are the petal tools and to make swipes. And now these are the oval tools, so they will be a little bit longer. Like the oval is like elongated, so it's not just like a dot with a tail, it's an oval. So, and then you can draw out that bottom and make a tail. So it's like a thinner swipe. So this is the 10-piece oval set from the Art Depot. There are 10 different sizes, and then there are 10 different sizes of petal tools, also from the Art Depot. And we just released recently our brand new set of dotting tools, and they are pink, and they go from 2 all the way to 22 millimeters, and they're marked on the handle. And I'm very, very super proud of all of these tools. They are my very favorite that we've ever made. So gotta try them out. They're getting rave reviews.